we looking at?
Stupid battle droids, get out of the way! Hello there. This is General Grievous, and you are watching Southern Comic Geek.
Roger.
Good afternoon, good evening, or even good morning, depending on where in the world you're watching this. But as long as you're watching it, we appreciate you. Of course, I am the Southern Comic Geek. I don't know if you're supposed to brag about that or not, but nevertheless, here tonight, we're going to be talking about some foreign comic editions. And though while I have a few comics that are foreign editions, not foreign variants, we'll probably hit on that little lingo at some point tonight, but foreign editions, I have a lot of people here tonight with me that know a lot more than I do. Now, before we get into all this comic book madness, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. So when videos like this go up ever so randomly, you are one of the first people to know and can make the conscious decision as to whether or not to watch it now or later, as long as you watch it. We appreciate you. So without further ado, because we've got a lot of ground to cover and ain't just a little time to cover it, let's go ahead and invite in our first guest. Matt, what's going on?
What up? How you doing, Southern Comic Geek?
Man, I'm doing great. It's funny, you called me, I guess a month or so ago, and I looked down, and I was in a place where I couldn't answer the phone, and I'm looking down, I was like, who's calling me? And I've got you just listed as Matt. Well, I know a lot of different Matts.
Oh, no.
What Matt is calling me right now?
Define 999, baby.
Yeah, I guess I need to, put either define 999 or something like that.
Or foreign crazy.
There you go. And that would be adequate to describe you. Of course, had you and Rob, who is also backstage with us on the channel before. And several people have commented both in the video comments as well as on other live streams I've been on, and thought it'd be good to get us all back over together, as well as with somebody else that's new to me anyway, and talk about this crazy thing called foreign comic collecting. So hopefully we'll have some good stuff tonight. And so talking about the new guy, or at least new to me, what's going on? Would you rather me call you Josh, or would you rather me call you Pee-wee?
No, you can call me Josh. That's fine.
Okay.
I call him Pee-wee. I go, Pee-wee Jr., what's up?
Yeah.
Only if you know him well do you get to call him that.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, Josh, it is for now. Thanks for joining us. I know we tried to put this show together, and everybody's schedules are kind of crazy, as they are sometimes. And but glad we could finally make it work tonight. And let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Rob's Comics. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself? You can call him Escort Josh if you're nasty.
Yeah, Escort Josh. That's his PayPal email, baby.
Dude, all my like tags are just like terrible. Like they just don't go together, and it's all bad stuff.
He likes escorts.
Okay. Well, so as far as for me and foreign editions, I had originally watched Comic Tom talk about some foreigns, which kind of intrigued me. And then I saw Rob late one night on Z Collect's channel talking about some foreign She-Hulks. I said, man, this is pretty interesting. And so reached out to Rob, I think even in the chat, to say, hey, we need to get together and talk. And then that's how I met Matt, and of course, now Josh. And it's kind of a crazy deal. So I had several things to talk about tonight, and it'll probably take its own life from there. But why don't we do this? Show off some books. Any of y'all got any books that you want to show off to anyone in the chat?
Who wants to go first?
You can go ahead, Matt. I gotta go grab mine. Mine's over there.
Okay, so I've kind of been changing my focus a little bit this year into more foreign horror. You know, as you know, Jason, I was like real big into the set building stuff, and you can see right behind me there, 129s for days, right? Well, those have gotten kind of significantly more expensive lately, and I decided I wanted to just kind of change my focus a little bit. So I've sort of been going down the horror rabbit hole a little bit more. Okay. I got a Swamp Thing 10. It's a Wrightson, very pretty little book. The difference, though, is this book looks very similar to the American Swamp Thing 10, but you'll notice up here in our DC circle that it's just blank and there's a 10. That's because this is a Filipino national bookstore. These are some of the rarest Bronze Age DC or Marvel editions that you can find. And they are tough. And that's why, even see how rough this one is? I don't even care. I could care less. These are jewels. And they're really hard to find. This is the Swamp Thing 13. I think it's a Redondo cover. Same thing. You'll see the blank circle. And there is no pricing in there. In the Philippines, they would write the price in, or they'd stamp it, or they would put a price sticker. But the ones that you find without anything, we like to call virgins. And virgins are even rarer because that means they never, for whatever reason, they weren't priced. This is a virgin. Very stoked with it. This one essentially is a virgin, but it looks like it had its price sticker removed. So there's a little stuff on there. This isn't horror, but when I saw it, I had to have it. This is a Batman 219. It is from Indonesia. Look at that weird, almost copy of the Gold Key logo. Mm-hmm. But what it says is Melati. So the publisher's Melati out of Indonesia, and if you'll notice, it looks a little different, right? Completely redrawn. And finding Indonesian books in this condition is very tough as well. So when I saw it, when my contact Ahmad in Indonesia had put this up for sale, I said, I'm not a real big fan of that issue number, but because the condition-wise it was so good for an Indonesian, I just bought it. Figured I had to have it. Okay. This is a beauty. This is a Golden Age Jaime Cortez horror out of Brazil. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the Otero Negro, issue 19, printed in 1954, and it is awesome. Josh, you're a big fan of this issue.
Yeah. I love
Red
that
Dress
cover.
Distress.
Yep. Beautiful cover. Cool maiden-looking chick with like a guy's jacket on it. Skeleton coming out of the ground. Otero Negro. And this book was published by La Selva. That's you'll see up in that corner up there, La Selva's little logo. And interestingly enough, this book has had its staples removed. Okay? So the staples are gone. They were removed. Now, the reason that they do that in Brazil is that especially with the older Golden Age stuff, the staples were very low quality. They're sitting, in some areas of Brazil, it's a rainforest. So rust is a real danger to books. So one of the things I'd like to impart on your viewers is that oftentimes a country will have something in place to preserve a book that in American culture doesn't make sense to us, but actually makes sense to them. And for a lot of this Golden Age material out of Brazil, if you don't remove those staples, the rust is going to migrate into the book and is going to be very, very nasty. So I have more to show, but I'll let the other guys go on. Well, that's what I have for now.
And, one of the things that I wanted to hit on, and everybody else feel free to, opine, but you mentioned that, okay, taking out staples. Okay, so that's a no-no in the American collecting market. And then you also said, I don't really care about the grade of it. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up now. We don't do this with American. We're grade whores. We chase after 9/8, right? So explain why that might be.
I got that.
Robert or Josh could explain that, I'm sure.
Okay.
The whole grade snobbery. Go for it, guys.
Yeah. So when it comes to any of these grades, you have to take the Golden Age mentality. You're not going to see it that often. You don't care what the grade is. You're lucky you found a copy. Those three things is definitely the pinnacle of when you think of foreigns. You take it in any grade.
Right.
You're going to turn down a Chamber of Chills 19 because it's in Spanish. I can't hear you, chat. I can't hear you. What?
Yeah. Leave the grade snobbery at the door.
Leave that to the door. And to give you a prime example, Mexican Navarro. You lucky you find it, but as you can see, is not in the greatest condition, but it's hard to find in any condition. You see the chip, you see the pieces missing, but I haven't seen a copy since this one, so it's like you buy when you see it. If you find a better copy later, then you hop on it. But grade is never an issue. Filipinos.
Woo! Virgin, baby.
Yeah.
And then my man Roland too in Philippines.
Oh, oh man.
No price.
I'm so jelly of you, Rava, for that one.
Bondage cover.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. You don't see that one very often. I think in the entire time I've been doing this, I've maybe seen 4. That's it.
Wow.
That's how rare some of these Filipino books can be, Jason.
Take it around the world, French Canadian, #1.
Nice.
And for you modern guys out there, I kind of grabbed these too.
Ooh.
JSC, German, numbered to 222 on the back. But wait, there's more. There's more. There's more.
Uh-oh. Here comes the set.
Nice.
Mexico. But wait, there's more. Mexico. But wait, there's more. Now look at that. See that?
Oh, sweet. Chinese or Japanese or Korean?
Korean.
Nice. Good job, Rob. Where'd you get that one?
I got this from a guy in the CBSI group. He was selling them for $85. I was like, why not? First appearance. She's already Asian. Why
it's a
not?
no-brainer. No-brainer, man.
But, but then one more for you guys. The last thing I got graded, it came back to me. I'll go ahead and I showed this one on your show last time.
Mm-hmm.
I got it graded 9.0,
Nice.
highest on CBCS and CGC. Top list Texas, baby.
It's a killer grade.
Nice.
French Canadian.
Bravo.
So,
French
do you remember offhand how many are on the census?
4.
Yeah. So one thing that somebody in the chat made a comment, and one of the topics that at some point I wanted to discuss, but Tim says that he was seriously collecting some of the foreign Adam Hughes variants, which I noticed you showed Adam Hughes, Gwen Stacy a while ago, because the originals have gotten so expensive. And we had in between the chat had showed off those amazing Spider-Mans, those Mexican editions that has the totally different storyline where Gwen Stacy didn't die, and how those things have gotten so astronomically high. And feel free, anybody, to answer this, what your thoughts are. But are the foreigns going up? Speaking of which.
Big booty.
All the foreign's going up because more people are getting into the hobby, or are foreign's going up because, like Tim was saying, hey, the Americans are getting too expensive, so let's go to the next best thing.
Believe it or not, well, me and Josh are going to be covering on Global Comic Safari as well. Matt and John already covered the Adam Hughes Legion of Superheroes 23. It's a 5-book set. They covered that one already, but we'll probably tackle the other sets. But believe it or not, they're starting to creep up in price too. Mm-hmm. Since the Supergirl Adam Hughes already hitting $99 to $100. I found these for cheap, but now that I bought that one, now they're hitting 120, 130. The Gwen Stacy, Adam Hughes, that one's around like 120. But I got this one in a trade, so they are creeping up. Like even the 667 Del Auto, even that one's one sold a 9.8, sold for like $3,000, I think, a couple weeks ago. But raw is like $100. It's still fairly cheaper than $10,000, but it's getting up there. So If you want to hop in, now's the time. Don't even hesitate.
Don't hesitate. I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's a mixture of people seeing the cheaper foreign prices, but it's also a mixture of people just getting into it because let's be honest, these books are freaking cool. So, and one of the things I did want to discuss as well is that I'll give you an example. We've got in our foreign group a couple of guys out of Singapore, and they're bringing the heat. They found it. They found the hobby, and they're buying a lot. So, what's interesting about it is when the foreign kind of niche started happening, it seemed like a good majority of it was kind of bored Americans, along with some other people from around the world. But I think what we're seeing now as well, and Josh, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I think we're seeing also just new blood from around the world going, hey, look, people are into these books. They're cool. I've got some because of my country of origin, but I never thought that I could, being someone in Europe, very easily access Italian eBay, Katawiki on Dutch, some of the Nordic countries. And so I think it's spreading like a disease. We call this a disease for a reason. We call it a sickness. Do we not, Josh?
Disclaimer. We forgot the disclaimer. We forgot.
Oh yeah, and that's the disclaimer. Be very careful.
We go ahead and just cover it now. For those of you watching, we're sorry, but we're not. We're sorry. We're sorry. Just go ahead and apologize to your wallet and your savings account now because it's not our fault.
It's addicting. It's addicting. It scratches a different itch than normal traditional collecting.
We're just showing it to you, but it's up to you to go through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like Matt said, you can't collect what you don't know is out there. So
you can't collect what you don't know exists.
Like y'all put out there, on y'all show that these are available. I mean, I didn't know they were available, like I was saying earlier. And I have paid probably as much for some of the bigger foreigns that I've gotten as I've paid for some of the bigger, regular American versions that I've gotten. Because they're ghost. And, part of the thrill of comic collecting or any collecting is the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, right? Yep. And when you can go on eBay, that takes that away. And so to be able to, and Matt, you and I were talking about this before the show started, to be able to get those relationships built and Rob was saying, hey, I got this in a trade. Do y'all find that you get more of your foreigns from trades, from meeting people than say eBay or some source like eBay? What are y'all's thoughts? Josh, you ain't no pine much yet. You want to?
Yeah. I mean, I score most of the books I get from people like on Facebook. I mean, I can name a few things here or there that like I'll, randomly find on the eBay and I'm like, yeah, that's sweet. But even most of the stuff I find on eBay, I have to get someone from that country to facilitate it for me because they won't ship to me. So, I mean, the whole thrill and point of it is, I mean, you can make so many friends from around the world and like getting to talk to these different people every day or, whenever you choose. I mean, it's so cool. Like I can be like, oh, I was talking to, my buddy in Brazil earlier and now I'm talking to my buddy in Mexico. Like it's really fascinating and neat to have that aspect of it. Like it really is like a global comic community.
Yep.
Global citizen.
Yep, that's what I say.
Phrase.
It makes you a global citizen. I'm not just an American anymore. I got skin in the game. I've got like we were talking recently, basically the Bob Overstreet of Mexico recently passed from COVID. It created a huge tremor within the Mexican comic book world and the global community. So, for guys that are interested in the social aspects of this is for you. If you're feeling like you're getting bored with American books for whatever reason, or you just want to try something new that's different, like Josh was saying, a lot of his connections are coming to him with books. A lot of Rob's connections are coming to him with books. This Batman came to me. I mean, Ahmad was going to list it. He came to me first and said, are you interested in this? That's kind of neat. And you know, Jason, we were talking about your recent connection with your buddy in Austria. I mean, talk a little bit about that. That whole like scratch my back, scratch your back thing. We do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's another YouTuber, and I knew him from that. And then once I got connected with him, and we've done a show or so together, he collects Conan, American Conan. So I said, hey, I'm going to send these to you. I wasn't expecting anything back in return. And so, but he in turn said, hey, what books do you collect on the foreign scene? And I told him, and he keeps a watch out. And so I just got some in the other day. I'll show some when it comes my turn.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, that's the fun part of it, because to me, an eBay transaction is totally sellable. I lose interest in it very quickly. Versus if it's even if it's somebody didn't just give it to me, somebody actually traded with me, it still means something. The transaction, the memory of it, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it does add a little more flavor or fun to the hobby. At least I believe so. And so, Josh, since we're on you got some books to show off.
Yeah.
Oh boy, get ready. Get your eyes ready with this guy.
So I grabbed a bunch of Brazilian books just because I always keep those closest to me. So I grabbed this.
Oh, that's pretty.
This is
That's a hero only in Brazil.
Yeah,
so
this is a Cortez cover, which a lot of people talk about his horror stuff. But this guy literally did anything and everything and did it amazingly well. That's my favorite cover so far. It's just
beautiful.
Screams like Golden Age, like the good girl art and the superhero saving her from the fire. And
funny thing about this guy is that he only has powers when he has the uniform on.
Yeah,
So
it was
if you get
kind
him
of
naked,
like
he's vulnerable.
it was like a weird Brazilian Superman. And then we got this guy.
Oh, that's pretty.
So this is Batman 2 from 1941.
Wow.
The original one came out in 1940. So, I mean, this came out within the same year as the American.
That's a huge book.
Olabino 17.
Olabino.
And think about this, Jason. There might be for every, I don't know, 80 number 2s that exist, there might be one Brazilian. The Brazilians, they're rare, man. I hesitate to say rare, but the buying ops for them are, practically zilch. Good luck.
And then we got this guy. This is Oglovo Juvenile Menzal. This is from 1944. This is the cover to Marvel Mystery Comics 40.
And a lot of these books, they would take the staples out too to preserve them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use like twine or some kind of invisible thread.
This one still has them. You probably can't see them, but it's.
If they have the staples and it didn't rust, consider that self a very, very great book.
Yeah.
It was kept in nice condition.
Been kept in good condition.
Yeah.
The Olabino definitely does not have staples. That book is like in pieces, but it's still a Batman 2.
So you threw a Batman 2 my way. I know you don't know me, but I collect Batman on the front. So I have Batman 183 forward. So everything from Volume 2, Volume 3 forward. And as far as old Batman, I have Batman 5, 8, 10, 13. So
nice.
Dancing all around that. And like Matt was saying, as rare as those books are, because during that time in the American market, they were facing books like The Seduction of Innocence. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the foreign market, they were facing Life. and
paper drives. Remember, the paper drives, where they were taking the paper to pulp them to remake into other stuff, basically recycle. That was happening all over North America. It wasn't just in America. That happened in Central America, Mexico, and South America. Because paper was had shot up in price like crazy. So
metal too for the staples.
And the metal for the staples destroyed a bunch. I'm telling you, the best thing for you to do, Jason, is to within the group, connect with some of the Brazilian guys, connect with Josh, Robert. They know some of those guys, and have them keep an eye out and see if some of those you're not, you're going to have to pay a decent amount for them, but those are beautiful. I mean, the Brazil Golden Age is just stunning.
It's a Silver Age. Well, the Brazilian.
E-ball. Gotta love the E-balls. That's a good grade too, Rob. Wow.
8.5 Bondish cover.
I love it.
So, Rob, I see you've had a couple now that were slabbed. As far as for all three of you, do you find yourself more of a slab collector or a raw collector, or it just
if all right, the grading thing just happened, so the CGC is able to recognize them as like additions versus a variant. That just happened like in the past year. So
or
that
reprint.
means instead of saying reprint, it'll say, it'll give the first appearance across, and then it'll give the title of whichever it is under the original page number, just so you can find it in the census. With these, if it looks good enough to me, I would get it graded to see what it come back as. A lot of times it's a hit or miss, but a lot of them I'll just keep raw. Like I graded the Nubia. I graded the Nubia because it's a part of the set. I was going for the registry set. This is the only 3.0 I graded because it's a part of the Wonder Woman 204.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3.0. As you can see, it's written on, but this is the only one. This came from someone's personal collection, so I was like, I wanted a part of the set. I have the entire 204 set graded. This one was a must, but the rest of them I keep raw just because of the grade. It's just cool enough to show off. But other than that, I keep majority of them raw. But if it's that clean, I'll send it in.
And CGC, the grading effect, if you will, is probably has led to some more validity to the foreign market, because then people look at that and say, okay, well, if CGC recognizes it, then it might be a viable thing, and I need to check into it. So
some people still shun it though. Like I was on a CGC collectors community or something like that, and I just showed a book saying, hey, just letting you guys know that like the guy put up a book. I showed the foreign edition of it. And he was like, oh, it's just a reprint.
Oh.
But then the kind of I sent a picture of the graded book, and I says like, I don't know, I don't see reprint on this label. Do you? And he was like, I ain't heard from the guy since. He blocked me actually.
Oh, wow.
He blocked me because I was like, I got receipts. What more do you want?
They don't, there's haters. Jason, that's another element. I mean, there are haters within a lot of the slabbing communities, especially CGC, FCC magazine, the first kind of foreign conglomerate of people into this thing. It started at CGC, and there was not a lot of love given. It wasn't until relatively recently that CGC was even properly notating them. And there's still argument if they're properly notated. I guess the biggest argument against slabbing a foreign is, why slab it if some of the most neat elements to a foreign edition of an American book are within? Yep. The Japanese Playboy is a good example of that. Spidey's. All of them really are good examples of that. If you want to be able to go in and see the cool like foreign posters or whatever stickers, whatever they added, like, so in a kind of bizarre way, the foreign niche is still trying to hold on to kind of that authenticity. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a good way of putting it. Slabbing is really for a grade, and so that you can resell it and maximize the amount of profit you can get out of the damn book, right? Yeah. A lot of the collectors that are into this style of collecting are not into that. We're not flipping these books necessarily. We're into them because they're freaking cool. And how can we go into them if they're slabbed? Does that mean that I don't have any foreign slabs? No, I have some. I'm not saying not to do it, but for the most part, slabbing isn't the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a foreign book.
Yeah.
And that's different from American style of collecting.
Sure.
And to bring you full circle with the modern stuff, I pulled this out so you can see it. But as you can see, a lot of this is a Danish one, a German, but you can see it says 333, but this is number 271 out of 333. So you want to talk print runs?
Yeah.
Most of the books are written on to show that it's a limited series. And this is the J. Scott Campbell, just so you guys know. the German, but a lot of these have the numbers on the back.
Yeah, that's the other part of this. Foreign print runs, even now in the modern times. Marvel and DC, I don't know for sure because I'm not into the modern stuff as much, but don't they put a limit on how rare or how low you can go in the as far as the variant numbers that can
3,
be produced?
3,000 is normal.
In the non-American countries, they don't put those damn limits, so stuff can be tiny, minuscule of what it could be. So I mean, it's like there's so many positives, Jason. Like, if you're even kind of interested in this style of collecting, dip your toes into it because it's just super cool.
Well, and again, another disclaimer, as Rob put it earlier, if you do dip your toes in, prepare for them to pay for it, because there are. And one thing that Matt, you had mentioned the last time we were talking about this was, hey, it's a big, wide world. You get excited about finding 1 or 2 books. It's easy to just go off the deep end and your wallet.
Oh, yeah.
So
Jason.
pick a certain book. Like if there's a certain book, for me, it's Hulk 181. So, pick that certain book or certain books and just go with that. And you were talking about this is one I don't want to slab. However, I was talking with some other people that have this book, and they have the current highest slab, and I think that this one could get a higher grade. So I kind of do I want to do that?
Let that competition get you, Jason.
So that is one of the many Hulk 181s.
I love that redraw too. Don't you love that redraw of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like you were saying earlier, that this one released in November of 1974. So this is the French Canadian edition. It was funny because I don't hardly ever go on to the chat group or whatever, but I saw somebody post this book, and it was this book and the copy, and they said, this one just sold. Does anybody know how much it sold for? And I said, yeah, I do, because I'm the one that bought it.
And the French Canadian stuff, think about it. Those editions heritages are awesome. 1, they weren't sold in comic book stores. 2, they were only sold on newsstands. And 3, they were only sold in one province in Canada, and that was Quebec. I was going to say Montreal. That's a city there. It was only sold in Quebec. So in comparison to the Bronze Age American print runs on those things are fractions of what the American print run is.
Well, and I did find this one on eBay, but you just don't see them on eBay. And now a regular Hulk 181, you see them all day long in varying grades, all day long, but not this one right here. I got my Brazilian little digest version from Steve
Bridewell.
Yeah, he's a great friend of ours too. Great dealer. And that's why also I would suggest maybe in the comments we can put a link to our group, because go there. There's lots of dealers from around the world that are selling their stuff, or other just dealers that collect books from not just their country but other countries. And you can find some really great stuff that you're not going to find on eBay.
Right. And, like in his case, he buys a couple of them and, to try to make up for some shipping, and keeps one and then sells the other one.
Yep.
Now, this is one that I picked up, and what I had to do to get it, I've never done with an American book. And that's this one right here.
Oh, yes. That's beautiful.
I love that book.
Yep.
So
beautiful. Just
randomly, I'm on the eBay and I see the whole set of Werewolf by Night.
Nice.
And so in order to get this one book, I buy the whole set.
Yep. And you have to do that sometimes.
Yeah. I get the one. I've done that plenty of times.
Well, and you notice, and this, you mentioned this earlier about being redrawn. Moon Knight, of course, has red and blue outfit as opposed to the white, and so it displays nicely next to my American edition.
Jason, that's Lopez Espy. Just like Jaime Cortez is the maestro of Brazil. or Duran is the maestro of Mexico. Lopez Espy is the maestro of Spain. Him and there's a couple other ones. But he did some wonderful Spanish redraws. Werewolf by Night, First Moon Night, that Hulk 181 you had. It's just so cool. I mean, we see 181 all over the walls at every damn show. I can draw it in my sleep probably. Yeah. But having Lopez Espy's work is, I mean, it's badass. I mean, and if you walked into a comic book shop and told the comic store guy at the front of the shop, hey, I bet you I have a Hulk 181 you've never seen before. He'd probably look at you and laugh at you and say, whatever, kid, I've been in this game for whatever. And then you bust out a foreign. One of my favorite things to do is to go into comic shops and just blow people's minds. You like doing that? Get into foreigns.
Yeah, and the redraws are really nice. And the color palette that they use a lot of times as opposed to what you see with the American version. I mean, just like with that Hulk 181, you see Wolverine has his shorts on, and then of course Wendigo is brown as opposed to white.
Yeah, he has a tan. Wendigo got a tan. the beaches of Spain, right? Hey, dude, they're beautiful out there.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the group earlier. I have purchased something out of the group before. It was somebody that said, "Hey, I got these books for sale," and I said, "I'll be interested in this one, this one, this one." It was somebody, I can't remember who it was, that was not in America, and they were super nice to deal with, over accommodating. Even came back and said something about the post office would not deliver, so that they just changed it to be a different mailing service. And
DHL
paid the difference, didn't charge me no extra difference for it. So.
Oh, wow. That's rad. Yeah, good guys there, man. Good guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chad, if anybody's got any questions regarding foreign editions, maybe where to find them, where to start, or anything like that, feel free to drop that in the chat. If you have not already done so, go ahead and smash that like button. Now, I will drop the link to that group later on in the description below, but what's already there is the IG handles to all three of these guys, so that you can hit them up. Matt doesn't check his IG all that much, but when he does, he catches up.
Yeah, I've moved away from IG, and because I just like the group function within Facebook and its algorithm a little bit more, because it's easier to be within there. IG, I don't know. Don't hit me up if you would. I mean, anyone can hit me up, but if I don't respond very fast, it's because I'm kind of more of a Facebook whore.
Yeah. Busy man. Yeah.
So I know, I think all three of you guys, don't y'all do a foreign show that let's mention that and talk about that. Who wants to go?
Well, Matt Royball is the curator of that one with John Z. They're the OGs doing the Silver Age and the Bronze Age stuff. Me and Josh are going to take over the modern stuff. We're going to be the ones showing you, these bad boys right here.
Yep.
Whichever one we can, whichever cover set we'll find, or we're going to do some shorts like, did you know that this exists, or things of that nature. Like, when it comes to like a lot of these, like, Jim Lee art, right? Mm-hmm. This is Arabic, right? But on the backside is 301.
Wow, that's a cool one, man.
And
and don't forget to mention the name of the show, Robert.
Global Comic Safari.
Global Comic Safari is where you will find us talking shit all day long.
Well, and that's another thing that about foreigns is just because the cover has one thing on it does not mean that's what's in the book. Yep. So you could, if you're collecting that issue or if you're collecting that cover, that's one thing, something you need to watch out for. If you're wanting the actual book, you want to check it out before, just buy it off a cover. Don't do a cover buy and then get depressed when it's different on the inside of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But just to talk to the people out there that might be interested, it's like Jason said before, you definitely want to make sure you have a focus before you go in. Go for the books you love. If you're looking for profit, that train might have left the station, but you just go for the books you love. You won't feel sorry holding on to the book. You know, a lot of people fall victim of just buy. And then when they try to flip, they're not getting back what they put in. So like Matt said, you got to have skin in the game, at least do your homework, at least know what you're buying, and make sure you're okay or you're perfectly fine with if it never sells, you have no problem keeping it. So like Jason said, you stick to 181. That's your newfound love. Buy multiple copies if you want. You know, somebody else might want it too. But when you go off the beaten path, you'll end up with 7 short boxes of foreigns. You don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, it's so easy to happen. You know, like I was a superhero guy, and then this guy Josh started getting me so turned on with all the foreign horror that this year I've just kind of put superhero on a back burner and just been going towards horror. And you know, Robert's right. You know, you got to educate yourself in this part of the hobby. You're not going to be able to do a lot if you don't know at least some basic stuff. And the nice thing about the show is that we go into oftentimes what's in the book, what's important about it, why it's important. We even kind of go into like, this is going to be a difficult book to find because, you know, if you're a new person and you don't realize that a rare book is rare, you might let it go. I'm assuming, Jason, that you knew that you know, first Moon Knight in Spain has gotten much, much harder to find lately. And so when it popped up, you had the wherewithal to be able to go, I'm going to go ahead and buy the whole lot because for whatever reason, another weird thing about foreigns, if things can seem plentiful and then they're not. Things can seem like they're coming out, like there's like 2 or 3 or 4 have hit the market and then it dries up. It's very, very spotty and hit or miss. So you really got to be aware when to pull the trigger. And it's a lot different than American stuff because, you know, you don't pull a trigger on something, it could be years before you have another buying up.
Yeah, like I had a copy of that Moon Knight, and it randomly popped up on eBay for just that copy, and that's the only one I've seen ever pop up solo by itself in the past like 3 years. So you just got to
a lot of people are hip.
Yep, you got to hit buy it now, and again, if the grade is a little funky, with some of these books, as long as it's complete and it's all practically all there, it's like you just got to do it. And and the group, the show, Global Comic Safari, we've been a little lax because a lot of crazy stuff has happened. But there's a bunch of old shows. We even have newbie shows where people can ask newbie questions, or we had a show where we all just got drunk one time. Remember that, Josh? Were you on that show?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We all just got drunk. We had a show one time where I was recording in a closet. In the middle of the show, my wife opens the door and says, "Hey, can you hand me that hanger?" And I was like, "Really? Don't you see I'm shooting live here?" So there's a ton of old content that if go to Global Comic Safari, check us all out. Robert, Josh, John Z, me. We have other friends come on, and we just love doing this stuff, man.
Yeah, it's a fun hobby. You meet lots of people. I have to say, you have the most fun chatting with people. Like you say, you have friends all over the world. Friends in Brazil, Mexico, South America, UK. Like we might not talk as often as we do because of, the world of craziness that's going on right now. But for the most part, we try to keep each other sane, just showing off some books. Sometimes just got to reinvigorate it. Every now and then I'll throw up a book just because. I'll throw it in a random group just because. And then, just take it from there. Like my IG is riddled with some obscure books, some crazy looking books. I even went as far as like getting commissions. I got a homage to this. It's a
foreign artists. Foreign artists is this whole other little thing you can
like. Matter of fact, I got one right here. Hold on, let me pull it down.
Oh, you have a Hendry?
No, I got the I got one done by Gorkum.
Oh,
I don't know if Z Collects is watching, but I got the Venomized She-Hulk, Gorkum Demir, Turkish artist.
Nice.
He does a lot of Venom stuff.
That is awesome. Yeah,
I got
the Turkish guys are amazing.
Yeah, Gorkum Demir. See it right there.
That is sweet. Yeah, that's a whole nother ball of wax, man. All the different foreign artists you can get cool shit from. And speaking of obscure books, I have some obscure ones still that I'd like to show.
Sure.
Let her rip.
And this is Josh's fault. The damn guy got me horrid. So recently I picked up some tidbits. These are out of Argentina. They're huge. Look how massive these are. Now, they're pulps per se, but inside there's a lot of comic content as well. They're old. They're golden age. This one's from 1950. It's got like a devil and like a woman with her shirt coming off. It almost looks like she's about to be attacked. This is actually the newest one, though. Some of the art on these is just stunning. This is a tidbit out of Argentina, 1942. And inside, yes, there's pulp stories, but there's also comic. There's some Lee Falk comics, and they're just the beautiful. And the paper is like paper thin. It's like newsprint. So the fact that these survived out of Argentina from the early 40s is just mind-blowing to me. This one is super cool. It says, El Desafío de la Rana. I don't know what desafio means, but spider. See the spider and the queen? And I just love that like butler guy with the gun. And then this was the one that just got my horror juices flowing. This was awesome. This is tidbit number 1701, 1942. This is 2 years older than my mama. And it is just, I mean, if you're a pre-code Golden Age horror fan, these got to turn you on a little bit. And because they weren't expensive, I didn't pay an arm and a leg for them. But, you know, that's the beautiful thing about the foreign side of the hobby, too, is there's so many other pastures that haven't gone in and been cleared out by speculators. And, you know, it's wonderful, man.
Yeah. More horror.
There's a Cortez. Yeah.
Cortez again.
That's a beautiful one.
Got the head, the blood dripping down in the hourglass. Skeletons everywhere.
I like that one, Rob. Cortez. They call him the Frazetta of Brazil.
I'm from Baltimore, so the Edgar Allan Poe was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
You know, got another Jaime Cortez skull. You know, one more for
those are all great.
Another Jaime Cortez.
That one's good. Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
And, you know, got some Duran original art, his remark. I would show the other side, but there's some naughty bits I don't want to show right now.
Yeah, I have one that's naughty too, but that one's awesome, Rob. The naughty one.
I'm gonna flash it. I'm gonna flash it real quick.
Don't get us kicked off here. Hey, so Gio is saying that's the Spider Challenge, the Desafio.
Oh, great! The Spider Challenge, love it. Desafio. Thank you.
Beautiful thing about these books is that the culture that comes through spoke more Spanish than, or Gio says spoke more Spanish than English growing up. So,
nice.
Yeah, so the culture is there.
Yeah.
It's really easy in the American. You know, and don't take me wrong, because I sell every week on my channel. I just got off a Whatnot sale where I was selling more modern books.
More foreigners.
I sold a lot of my some of my X-Men sets just to clear space or whatever, and take advantage of the prices that have gone, you know, through the roof. Now, so I have taken advantage of that. So I understand I sell the stuff, so I have benefited from some of the stuff going up. But with all this stuff going up, that has pushed other people out of the hobby, priced them out, frustrated them out, whatever you want to, you know, say that and then with COVID and then some comic shops acting like there's no such thing as online shopping now, or
you
know, some of the stories and everything else that they want to push in these new comics versus the old comics and the read and feel that we had when we pulled them off the newsstand. A lot of all this stuff combined has pushed people to say, well, really, I kind of lost the luster, it's kind of disenfranchised me from collecting comics. That's the thing with foreign comics. All these artists, all of these little nuances with the stickers, the watches, like this.
Oh yeah, the Italians are famous for adding the Italians threw everything in the kitchen sink at their books, man.
Yeah.
So all those little nuances and the places you can go to find out about this is available or this one's available. If you like the story, it's actually in this book, collected in this edition. All those other types of things, it can kind of reinvigorate some of that lost love for the hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna show this one for those that feel like you priced out. Like, this is something that I just picked up because I love. This was shown to me by a Kamala Khan fan. It was a pink cover, Japanese writing. This is a trade, so it's pretty thick. But I got this signed by the voice actor of the Avengers video game, Kamala Khan. So on the side, cool. She signed it. She wrote her trademark in big on the side. It's all pink. It's drawn by a Japanese artist.
The title's cool as shit too. Look at that title.
But this book was like $15. It came from Japan. When I say that it came within 5 days of purchase, it's like it put our postal service to shame.
That's crazy.
But it came pretty quick. But I love the cover. I got it signed. This is the only one on the census. 9.6.
Beautiful.
Just so it don't have to be the expensive bag.
Yeah,
It don't have to be these.
Yeah,
it could be something cool as this. Just a redraw of something that we already know. But I mean, regardless of how you look at it,
there's a little something for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you another thing. So, like my Iron Fist 14 first appearance of Sabretooth, I got Chris Claremont to sign both my English and my Spanish version of that, and he's like, "Hey, I don't really see this one that often." And so that's the kind of reaction I like to get from artists and creators. Something that they haven't seen that often.
Yep.
And which helps him. He likes the fact that, hey, I'm a collector of your work. I'm not a flipper. I'm not going to sit there and turn right around when we leave here and sell it for $60, $100 on eBay. I appreciate your work. And so, it speaks to the creators as well. So I've done that for several different versions. Unfortunately, for my Hulk 181s, John Romita Sr. is about the only person that's still alive that worked on that book.
Yeah.
And just so y'all know, signatures is not going to be widely accepted. I've heard stories that some will say, like, I didn't get paid for this work and they might not sign it. I've heard that story go around a few times too.
That's recent. That's relatively recent, right, Rob?
It's some Adam Hughes work that he said he wouldn't sign, like the Dolman.
Dolman's from Germany.
Yeah, a lot of that art that was unpublished was published in Mexico. It's a Wonder Woman cover that he did that he said he won't sign. I asked him on IG and he said that, but because he wasn't paid for it, it's still in his archive. Like, he still has it, but somehow ended up on the front of a magazine. I have it around here somewhere, but I don't feel like looking for it. It's a lot of boxes.
That's a huge key, right? That's a huge key.
No, it's just a fanzine. It's not nothing in the guts. It's just a magazine.
Yeah.
It's not a key book or anything, but it's something that it's not a Wonder Woman cover in the U.S. But I saw that it was, and I asked the question. He said no. So it's a couple works that some people might not sign. Like Neil Adams might question it, but he'll still sign it anyway for $50.
Yeah, Neil Adams is giving me I know we didn't get paid for this stuff, and I was like, I'm sorry, bro. I mean, Marvel and DC were using their licensing departments as ATMs. They weren't paying anybody. It was just a way to keep the company afloat, and they didn't care how the foreign publishers were doing with it. They didn't care if they, the Japanese Spider-Man Playboys are a clear example. Marvel, those are officially licensed. Marvel knew that Japanese Playboy was going to take that Spider-Man story, that retelling of his origin, and they were going to put it right into a Playboy magazine. And if you look at those pages, Rob, you've got the whole set. Right next to many of them is a pinup. How did Marvel's lawyers let that happen? I can tell you how, because they didn't care, and they did not care. You know, a lot of this material that was going overseas wasn't supposed to come back to haunt these companies because it's pre-internet. If something was printed in Japan or the Philippines, it might as well have been printed on Mars as far as these companies were concerned. So, you know, that's another reason, that's another interesting little tidbit about this, is that a lot of these foreign guys, what we're doing, you know, it's not just even collecting, it's almost archiving Marvel and DC's skeletons in their damn closets, the bodies that are buried. Because I promise you, that Japanese playboy would make a lawyer at Marvel and Disney.
Oh yeah,
Make them, their head would explode.
Yeah. Well, this is what Marvel and DC were doing right there.
They were just cashing in, baby. ATM.
Yeah.
You want to license our stuff? We don't care what you do with it. Here it is. Give us the money.
That's right.
Throwing T-shirts in the crowd.
Basically.
So, do you feel like another thing that we have going on now is we have more foreign artists in the modern era? Is that adding more validity to some of these foreign comics like that? Because they're not all from over here. I mean, I think about some of my favorite artists now are all not from America originally. You know, Miko Sion or Delato and people like this.
I don't know. I'm not as much in the modern, so I'll let Josh and Robert take that.
I'll say that Delato, he does exclusives for people in country. Like he has a lot of the ones that are in American, like a 1 in 50.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have they did something special in Italy for those artists too. Like they'll do something like the museum editions that you see for like Wonder Woman, Milo Manera. You see the ones for like Superman by Delato. There's I was looking on eBay just searching for randoms. There's a Doctor Strange Delato that has the velvet touch of the cloak on the comic. And I was like, oh, I'll save that. I'll look at that later. I'll come back to that. But then they got one where you have like a little bit of Spider-Man's costume on it too. So a lot of those are like, okay, Italy. I see what you're doing.
Italy,
you got me scanning eBay, looking at these crazy looking books. I'll bite.
So here's one right here, and this is one that they sent me. The Italian version of this is foil, I believe. This is the German version.
Yes.
1 in 1,000. So again,
Nice.
talking about low print runs. You can't get too terribly much lower. Then it starts costing them to run the printing press, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, guys, it's been an interesting conversation, as it always is. Whether people were watching this live on the chat or they're going to be catching it on the rewind. Anything that you want to leave as we kind of wrap up and say parting words, words of advice, things you're going to be doing, where you might be found at, those type of things. We'll start with you, Rob, since you're already big.
I'm already big. I'm larger than life on the front. So don't be afraid to hit any of us up. We don't mind answering questions because, you might be new to it. You might want to get more information. We point you in a direction if we don't know the answer, we know somebody that does. So when it comes to anything foreign, we're not necessarily experts, as Matt would say.
We're enthusiasts.
We're enthusiasts. We know where to find it. We know where to find what you're looking for. But for the most part, it's a deep wealth of knowledge. You got to do your homework. That's the one thing I can stress the most. Do your homework before you jump in. Otherwise, you'll start swimming and drowning, and your bank account's at zero. So do your homework, please.
Well said.
Well, Josh, you want to go next? You've been probably the quietest member of the panel here tonight, so go ahead and say your piece.
I was just going to say, you can catch me, Rob, and Matt all on Global Comic Safari. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to hit me up on IG, Pee Wee Junior 87, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Like if you want to really hone in on something and know what you're looking for and what you want to do. I mean, I remember when I joined the group and it was like, I mean, I probably went overboard, but it was like
You
hours
did.
and hours and hours and hours of researching anything and everything that I could just so I knew. Like, you know, I'm one of those people where it's like, you know, I always feel like, oh, I'm asking too many questions. So, I mean, I just opened my phone and just ran with stuff. You don't have to get that crazy. But yeah, definitely stick to something. And even when you do try and stick to something, it sometimes doesn't work out, as probably all of us can attest to, or at least me, Rob, and Matt. I mean, I started out doing mostly horror, and now I pretty much like just buy anything and everything, and it's really bad. So guard your wallets. Guard your wallets, because if you don't have control or you just get sucked into everything, it can get very, very expensive.
Yeah.
But you can
This is
get
the one
about
I was
3
talking
times as
about.
many books as you could if you were buying, you know, stuff over here. So you get a lot, but still.
Yeah, this is that Doctor Strange one I was talking about.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's
Yeah,
got
with
the
the-
texture to the cape.
Yeah, that's sick.
What?
Yeah, then,
Okay, that's cool.
No, look. See, look. It says
That's sick, man.
For $35, that ain't. I mean,
No.
Jason's gonna go buy it.
Shipping's $22. So that's
I mean,
another
still,
thing
I
we'll
mean-
talk about
He's
later.
still gonna go buy it.
well, and we didn't talk about that, but that is a good point because
Yes.
like those books, and I didn't show my British version of Hulk 181, the one that has the different face than the American version. You know, that came from London, and my Spanish version came from Spain. So I went on the appropriate eBay site, not the American eBay, but the foreign eBay site, like we talked about the last show that we did. But shipping is a major part of what we do.
Yep.
Uh,
Very.
so.
Very.
All right, Matt, what you got for us?
Let's go. Well, let's end real quick with that tip, and the tip is when you're dealing with foreign eBay sites, is to log into the foreign eBay site. Say you're on Italian eBay looking for an Italian 300. Use your American login there, then watch the item. Go back into your American eBay, look into your watched items, and it will all be translated for you. At least a majority of it. The description won't. But you'll be able to see if they ship to America. You'll be able to see what it costs in American dollars. eBay will even do the conversion for you. So that is a really hot tip for anyone that's like, oh, wow, I can go on Italian eBay? Yeah, you can. You can go on German eBay, Italian eBay, Australian eBay. I mean, you can go around the world. Like Josh was talking, he was doing a lot of that. He was spending a lot of time on those, you know, international eBay sites. So that is one of the biggest tips that I'm going to give is like it. Go back to America, go back into your account, and the majority of the stuff will be translated for you. 2, one of my favorite sayings, there's hundreds, if not thousands of foreign collectors out there, foreign edition collectors. They just don't know it yet. They're just sitting there. They're sitting there. There's an amazing Spider-Man collector right now sitting somewhere in Washington State who he doesn't realize his life is going to change. The same thing for, you know, pick your whatever. I mean, there's guys going crazy for Teenage Mutant Ninja bootlegs out of Indonesia that were like hardcore Turtles fans, and they're just like, you know, like kids in a candy store. Do it. If you're wondering about whether to dip your toes in this part of the hobby, do it. Join our group. Go watch Global Comic Safari and ask any of us. I will warn you, if you're trying to ask me on Instagram, it's going to be a while. Find me on Facebook, please, because I hit that every day. But, you know, the community's wonderful, and, you know, just share. We're just sharing this love of this. You know, I can't speak specifically for Rob or Josh, but I think they can, you know, get with me a little bit on this. this part of the hobby kind of saved my comic book collecting soul, because I like you were talking about, Jason, I was getting tired of the grade chasing, and it seemed like it was all about money, and there's just something new and different about going on this kind of path less traveled that, just took over my comic book collecting heart, and I just dove into it, and I've made so many good friends around the world as well as here in the States. And it's kind of like, the Goonies. I feel like it's kind of like the Goonies. We all want to go hunt for One-Eyed Willie's horde, right? We all want to be those kids that feel like we're part of a secret club going and doing secret things, right? Well, foreign editions are sort of like that. 90% of the hobby doesn't even know it exists yet. So that's what I got to say.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick, I mean, I'm living proof that I was completely out of the comic game before I started doing foreigns. Like, I just got, my last big thing I did was the IDW TMNT run when they came out with that originally, and it was like cover 1 had like 30 different variant covers, and I'm like, by the time I got to issue 10, I was like, I'm done. I'm like, and it had been years. Like, I'd buy a book here and there, but I mean, as soon as I saw, it was the same thing, I saw a Comic Tom video, and I commented on it, and I was like, wow, that's neat. And next thing I know, Matt's responding to me like, oh yeah, you should come check out this group. And I'm like, okay, maybe I will. And then like all of a sudden it was like, it just completely reinvigorated, my comic book culture and like collecting and all that stuff. Like, my mind just exploded.
Yep.
So I have neglected the folks in the chat, except for the ones that asked questions tonight. But for all of you that have been in the chat, in and out of the chat, I do appreciate it. I did not miss your comment. Just talking about the content itself, got kind of carried away. I will bring up the last comment. This is Thunder God Comics, whose channel I'll be on in 30 minutes from now. And so it says he didn't have any foreign copies in his collections. I just don't really look for them, but they are cool. Yeah, and it's all ease of access, right? If you're a small town comic shop, what's the odds of them actually having a foreign comic? You're looking for it to happen. Even when you go to shows, I mean, I've been to shows of varying sizes, and they always got the big books, the book that the MCU is introducing some new character to, the hot book of the week, which is all fine and good. It's just, for somebody that in this little side niche of the hobby, you don't see those very often. Would y'all agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
It's changing, though. It is changing.
Yeah, I see more. I watch con videos like on YouTube, and I've seen more and more. Like, I'll send them pictures in the group chat. I'm like, oh shoot, look at this like Swedish Punisher on this dude's wall at this con. Like,
Yeah.
it's popping up more and more. And I actually just was at a small comic show 2 weekends ago where I did nothing but have foreigns on me. So that was interesting.
That was a badass booth, Josh.
Yeah.
Badass booth.
I said this phrase before on a previous show. I think it was on Z Collects. It's like, think of comic collecting as high school. This is college level. We're talking like not 101. We're talking 304. Yeah. You start digging into this. You start looking up stuff like, what do you mean it's not Steranko's original art? Mm-hmm. Original art is where? In Norway? Yeah. When you start getting to those levels, this ain't. Oh, I know what that book is. I already know what's inside. Just give it to me first appearance. But when you have to look at it the third time, now your brain's working. So
PhD of comics, baby.
Well, that's Matt. That's Matt.
No. I'm just saying. You're right. Yeah. You're dead right. You first get into collecting elementary. You become. You start getting into it. High school. You start dealing a little bit. High school. You start learning. But this is college level, because the problem also is there's not a whole lot of information out there on these books, especially in English. So you got to go out there and research in the languages of origin and use Google Translate and know which. I mean, it's. But don't let that scare you.
And even then, it's still a mystery, and that's still fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been plenty of books where I'm like I bought a Chinese Batman book, and like I opened it up and it's got Tech 359 in it, the first Batgirl, but you would never know by the cover, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, pleasantly surprised. Okay, like
Yeah.
Goodbye. Pat yourself on the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Definitely. And so Thunder God Comics, let's change that. Okay. You don't have any foreign books in your collection? Hit up our group, hit up Jason. He's been doing this. He can help you. Because once it's like we were talking about Italian. The other interesting thing about this part of the hobby is for the longest time, as at least as an American collector, you look at the American output as like the pinnacle, right? And then you end up with an Italian Corno or one of these Italian badass moderns, and you notice that they pulled all the stops, included stickers, included posters, included textures, and then you go, wait a second, I'm going to have to come to this realization that maybe my American output didn't do it better. The Italian 300 is a better book than the American Spider-Man 300. I'm sorry. It's better designed, better paper, has the $2.99 in it, so the assholes can't claim that it's the cameo's the first appearance. All this stuff. The Italian 300 is better. I'm sorry, Americans. It just is. So until you hold that in your hand, you got to hold some of these foreigns in your hand.
Before you know it, Thunder God Comics, you'll be holding comics with your pinky up.
Yeah. Especially when you're holding Italian books. The Italians went nuts. Like I forget who I was talking to a couple of days ago, and I'm like we got garbage compared to what some of these
That
other
Doctor Strange
country Marvel stuff is printing out. Like
that Doctor Strange proved it.
Yeah,
A velvet cloak.
The Italian publisher
Guardians of the Galaxy you had that's got like the double acetate cover. Like
the Italian publishers rock. They do not mess around.
No Marvel paper here. It's all card stock. But we don't want to take up any more of you guys' time. Thanks for
I know you've got another show.
Yeah, we want to let you.
All right. Well, again, appreciate everybody for stopping by. If you haven't already connected with these guys, all their IG handles are in here. And after the show, I'm going to go back and repost the links to the other groups that they mentioned and check them out. Everybody's doing this little walk like a Egyptian thing. I don't know. But appreciate everybody for swinging by this evening. And until next time, keep reading and keep collecting.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.